Welcome back to the 12th Man, our fantasy football show where we look at your teams, our teams and take all of your questions. Today on the show we've got Van Straten, we got Hamill and we've got the legend that is Chelsea Rory as well. If you don't already, make sure you go and follow him on social media. Also, make sure you've joined our league by hitting the link in the description below and entering the pin on screen now. If you think you can beat us, which you won't be able to, but we are giving away some pretty good prizes, aren't we, Hamster?
We've got some amazing season-long prizes because like I said last week, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Check the description below for details on them. We're also giving away 2 shirts per game week, one for the winner of said game week, which starts next episode, and one for the best question from a non-UK subscriber. Because you can't play along with us, I know, extremely sad, but you know, we want to spread the love, we want you guys to participate, so let's do it that way. Starting this week off with Rory's team, we're going to break it down. Bargain buy is the numero 1 section.
Right, Rory, we're kicking things off with your bargain buy. Now, 8.8 million for João Moutinho. Is that a bargain? Explain to me why.
It's a slightly fluid definition of the word bargain. I concede that. However, I'm gonna say it's a bargain because I'm very excited by Wolves. I think they have a lot to offer, and I think he's going to be the main man. What's been going on at that club has been it's mind blowing, really. You know, they've got that huge. They've got the Chinese billionaires, Fosun in there, spending loads of money. They've then got the legend. You know, you described me as a legend in the description, which was definitely false. But I'm not playing with a word here at all. They've got George Mendes involved.
Yeah.
And when you've got the money from China, the legend that is George Mendes, anything's possible. And the fact that they've captured João Moutinho, who's been playing very well for Monaco, I just think him at 8.8. I concede it's dear, but you know, 30 million for Kante was dear, but that's a bargain, and this could be the same.
Fair point.
Ooh, I don't know about João Moutinho in a fantasy football situation though. To me, he seems like he's going to play more of a reserved role for Wolves alongside
He'll
Ruben
get the ball,
Neves.
he'll touch the ball so many times.
Yeah, that's guaranteed points.
Guaranteed points.
Like in fantasy football, like I've got Jorginho in my team for exactly this reason, that even if he doesn't have a good week, he's going to complete 60+ passes. And that's, I think it's 2 extra points.
Yeah.
Then he gets 3 extra points if it's over 70. And that's definitely something they could do. They're a possession side, right?
Yeah, they are. Although, again, I come back to the top scorers nearly every season are forwards, and he is not going to score goals and get assists.
You say that, some of the top scorers last season in midfield were those industrious, deep-lying playmakers that put in those tackles, that clock up those passes. Aaron Moy was a great point scorer for me last season. He got 159 points. That put him inside the top 10. And I think you need someone like that in your side. Aaron Moy, I would argue, is a better option because he's £0.1 million cheaper on the game. So I think I'd go for him. But like Pato said, he was averaging, João Moutinho this is, 60+ passes in League One last season, 2 tackles, which also gets you bonus points. So I can see some of the rationale behind João Moutinho. However, I do feel 8.8 for me is 0.8 million too expensive.
But with Barry Douglas leaving for Leeds, we talked about him last week, and he was taking set pieces for them last season. Then we could see Moutinho taking some set pieces for them as well.
Hello,
and then he might rack up some assists.
Exactly, and he has got a great eye for an assist as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're doing a slight disservice to the brilliance of João Moutinho here. I'm not slating Aaron Moy, but João Moutinho is a fantastic player.
Yeah.
This is his chance in the Premier League. He's going to take it, and this is a bargain. Don't fight me.
Let's move on to our one to watch then. Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah.
Why is this? Pourquoi? 6.2 million.
Joe's face is upsetting me right now.
Who is he?
You can't do that.
Who is he?
You can't do that. You
I've
can't
actually
turn your
never
nose
heard.
up at my suggestions.
I've
invited you on the show.
You've invited me on the show and offended me, yeah.
I've actually never heard of Callum Hudson-Odoi.
It's a really valid suggestion, and I'm going to make the case as to why. Firstly, let's just acknowledge £6.2 million for a midfielder.
So cheap.
That's nothing.
The issue with this, the reason why it's a slight risk, is because there's no guarantee that he's going to get the minutes. If, however, he gets the minutes, there's no doubt in my mind that he will have a really good season for Chelsea. He's everything that we need at the moment.
Okay.
He's direct, he's fearless, he's young, he has all of the right attributes. He's got a good eye for a goal, very good eye for assist. He's looked fantastic in pre-season, but I think this is his moment. Chelsea have been desperate for a breakout player from our excellent youth system, and he is definitely Chelsea's one to watch.
The issue I have with Sarri is that he's a little bit like Conte in this regard. Like he has a very solid kind of central first-team squad, and then a bunch of guys who don't get a lot of minutes. So at Napoli they had Marco Rog, they had Zielinski, they had Diawara, they had Adam Munar, like all these young, really hyper-talented players who'd be getting regular minutes on any other side. actually saw very limited time on the field under Sarri, even when their numbers were good. And my worry is that he might relegate even these talented youngsters at Chelsea to a similar role.
He has said as much pre-season. I think Sarri said that his game time was going to be minimal, but he does rate Odoi and Ethan Ampadu extremely highly, and he's given the minutes pre-season, like you said. But I think he only got 27 minutes last season, Odoi, and that kind of, for me, I think is going to be a continuation of that. If he can get sort of 300 to 400, that would be a massive step, in my opinion.
Well, if there's been any debate about my previous two, there's going to be none about this one. My star man is Eden Hazard. I'm glad. I was worried that I got no face from Joe there, so that's unbelievable. Progress.
Yeah.
This is a shoo-in, isn't it? This is a guarantee. This is a correct decision.
Unless he leaves.
So. Unless he leaves.
For Real Madrid, Pastures new, 199 million, was it?
Genuinely don't think it can happen. I think these moves, they take so long to get them into effect. The transfer window closes so early this year. You know, usually you'd have until August 31st to sort this out. Got less than 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
So I just don't think...
No
replacement lined up. Also, I'm not convinced. Look, I fully concede that the allure of a club like Madrid is unparalleled. You know, there's probably about 2 clubs in the world that are on that kind of level. Manchester United being one. They're not in that conversation at the moment, and Barcelona probably being the other. And again, it's not happening with them. So I don't think that it's going to happen, because also from Hazard's point of view, the reason why he was so transfixed and so interested in going to Madrid was, you know, the potential of linking up with Zinedine Zidane, who was his boyhood hero, the potential of playing with Cristiano Ronaldo, a man he's admired openly for years. They're both not there anymore. There's this very interesting time at Madrid, and I kind of think that I can see a world in which this move does happen, just not now.
Hazard's figures last season on Sky Fantasy Football: 28 starts, he got 9 man of the matches, that's 5 bonus points a pop. That's the same as a goal for a forward. So if he's going to be your star man, well worth taking into consideration. You know, those game changers, as well as people who are decisive in front of goal. Only selected by 8.5% of people so far, despite those 17 goal contributions last season.
Must be transfer related.
And yeah, you'd imagine so, because Kevin De Bruyne has been picked by 29%. Even Eriksen at the moment is sort of pipping Eden Hazard. So maybe if he performs in game week 1 and 2, it gives you the competitive edge.
You've got to have him. Look,
not many people are selected.
He's 11.8 million, which I concede is dear, but I could almost make that my bargain. Like, that's how you've got what you've got here is you've got a man who's gonna at some point in his life win a Ballon d'Or. And you're gonna
that's the spiciest take we've had on this show.
Has that ship sailed?
And you can have him for 11.8 million.
I mean,
he's also going to be Chelsea's captain.
I agree with you. I agree with you in the sense that, like, you want to spend money there, because actually what that gets you in a striker is not that much. Like, you get a Roberto Firmino, he's 12.2, I think. Gabby Jesus 12.1, 11.7 gets you Morata. So wouldn't you rather spend that on Hazard if you've got the choice between those two players?
Completely, absolutely. Eden Hazard could easily be the star man or the bargain buy.
The first one was sent in by Brody Hales, who says, who are the most overpriced players people should avoid, Hamill?
Oh, I've noticed on this game that centre-backs are quite expensive. Van Dijk, case in point, at 9.9 mil, and I'm firmly of the belief your back line should be trash as long as your forward line is absolutely fire. I think you've got a similar answer, right? Who's your centre-back?
Yeah, so I've actually gone for, as my overpriced player, as Jan Vertonghen. At £10 million.
Wow.
Now, that is a mental amount of money on this game, especially when you can pick up another centre-back that's probably going to start for Tottenham this season, Davinson Sanchez, at 8.7 for 2.3 million cheaper. Probably play similar amount of minutes this season if Toby Alderweireld does indeed leave for Manchester United, which is a rumour that's kind of been bubbling around for the last few days. So I think sacrifice the 2.3 and bring in Davinson Sanchez. Or if you have to bring in somebody from that Tottenham backline, I'd still rather bring in a fullback in Ben Davies at 0.4 less, who's probably going to chip in further up the pitch, might get you the odd assist. I don't
usually have more defensive actions, tackles and interceptions.
I just don't see the positive of bringing a centre-back at £10 million. Like you said, you can get forwards in for that level of price. You can get cheaper fullbacks in that.
You want your back three to be fullbacks, don't you, that are taking set pieces as well. So I think Trippier's 8.5, so Vertonghen at 10 makes no sense.
Mental.
Van Aanholt 7.6.
Or even guys
Leighton
like
Baines.
Bellerin or Benjamin Mendy, you know, like fullbacks on attacking sides who are going going to get forward and be extra options. Those guys are the people you want, and they're covering often from set pieces, so they're making tackles on breakaways. Like, those are the guys you want because they will rack up those points week after week. If you're going to go for centre backs, you have to get a City guy really, because they're the only ones who are going to make over 60, 70 passes.
And even then, you know, like if I was looking at that City team, I wouldn't guarantee a start. I don't know who in that City backline is guaranteed to be that centre-back partnership. You've got Laporte in there, you've got Vincent Kompany in there, you've got John Stones in there, you've got Nicolas Otamendi in there, all probably vying for that sort of same role. So who do you pick that's not going to get rotated by Pep Guardiola? I think it's a risky game.
Well, getting rotated, like, that is an issue, because didn't you? Who have you gone for?
Firstly, I have to put a caveat in this. Big Pete, if you're watching this, I love you. For everything that you did in Munich, I'm sorry to do this to you, but I'm afraid Petr Cech is the most overpriced player on this. 7.3 is mental. Like, he's not even going to start. He's more expensive than Arsenal's new first-choice keeper. Yeah. Which is bonkers.
He's the same as Alisson as well. You can get Alisson at Liverpool, and their defence will be better.
Well, for 0.7 million more, you can get De Gea, which is... just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Although don't get the hair in, because I'm very sceptical about our backline this season.
Well, yeah, but he will face a lot of shots, and if you make 5 shots in a game, you get save 5 shots in a game as a keeper, you get an extra 3 points. So that stuff is worth having. Like, I've gone for Gylfi Sigurdsson. I think quite often in these games, people pick players who they think of as good players, and not guys who are actually going to get them points because of the role they perform on their team. And whilst I think Everton will definitely score more goals under Marco Silva than they did last season, Gylfi Sigurdsson, I think, is 9.1, 9.2 million. For that money, you can get Naby Keita, you can get Jorginho, you can get Pascal Gross, you can even go take $1 million off and get Lucas Torreira. Like, there are bargains to be had in the midfield positions, and I would rather get Richarlison, who's 8.6, than Sigurdsson, who's 9.1. Like, I don't understand that at all.
I suppose that he's going to be taking set pieces, that might bump his price up a little bit. So let's move into the second question.
Yes, this one was sent in by Ross McGovern. He says, who is the bargain signing of the summer so far? Now, not on fantasy football, just in life in general. We'll stretch this out European-wide, Van der Straat. I know you're going to go for.
I'm going to go for Vasalko, the right-back who's just gone from Atletico Madrid to Inter. Obviously had a good World Cup. He moves on an initial loan, I think, for a €6.5 million fee, and they have an option to make it permanent at the end of the year for 17.5. Now, that's a great move for Inter, because obviously last season they had João Cancelo on loan from Valencia as part of the Kondogbia deal, and then Juve came in and gazumped them, brought him in for about 40 million this summer. And they've gone out and got a guy for basically half the price, who is admittedly older, he's 26, but he's an absolutely sensational player. Last season was winning the ball about 5 times a game.
Why are Atleti?
I don't understand. I thought
I'm not entirely sure.
Heir to Juan Fran.
I genuinely don't know. For whatever, I mean, we've seen this happen before, where Simeone has just taken against a player for whatever reason. I mean, in Yannick Ferreira Carrasco's case, it perhaps turned out that he was a little bit of a problem behind the scenes.
Shipped off to China.
Yeah, so they punted him off to China. I'm not really sure, but from Vasalko's point of view, it doesn't matter at all. He's going to another top league, a league where he made his name with Sassuolo, and he's going to play under a very good manager in Luciano Spalletti.
And that is Nainggolan, De Vrij, and your boy Vasalko for just over £50 million now.
Yeah, and they overpaid for Nainggolan.
So
with potentially Vidal still to come through the door.
Yeah, into doing bits. What about you, Joseph?
I'm probably going to go for Rui Patricio on a free from Wolves. Obviously, Jorge Mendes coming up trumps yet again for them, and that whole...
Well, bargains to be had from Sporting, right?
Yeah, exactly. That whole Sporting situation where the players basically down tools and ripped up their contracts after the hooligans entered the training ground, that has obviously paid off big time for Wolves, because there's no way they should be able to capture a keeper of his level for £0. Goalkeepers are hard enough to come by. We've seen top teams struggle to pick up good goalkeepers, and I think Rui Patricio for a mid-table side is a fantastic move. So he'll definitely add to that team. There are other Wolves players we can talk about, but yeah, I'll go Rui Patricio. Although I do think, this is a well left field shout, but I do think 105 million for Ronaldo is a bargain. I'm going to say it. I actually do. I think that is so cheap for a player of his calibre, given that some of the other fees that are being banded around, 80 million for Harry Maguire, and they're able to pick 105 million up.
Yeah, we talked that up on Euro Roundup, didn't we? If you want to know more about Ronaldo, go over to Eurofootball Daily and check that out. But I mean, first of all, let me say that goalkeepers, last week I was talking up Lee Camp and I actually meant Lee Grant, so I need to put that out there because Lee Camp had a horrendous season, and apologies for anyone who subsequently put Lee Camp in their side. Change that right now. But some of my bargain buyers from across Europe, similar to yours. Gelson Martins from Atletico Madrid for nothing as well, which is an incredible bit of business. Great dribbler, a really direct player. More Premier League oriented. I quite like Fulham's business. You're going to touch upon a transfer in a minute, but Mitrovic for 18 mil to me seems like somewhat of a bargain.
I'm in a similar Fulham vein here, and I think it's a dazzling bit of business to get hold of John Seri for what, 15, 18 million.
Yes.
I think that's huge, and I actually think a signing like that, bearing in mind everyone was sniffing around this bloke. You know, there was a time when Chelsea were really like,
Barcelona
on
wanted
this
him the
bloke's tail.
season
Barcelona,
before, yeah.
absolutely, everybody, all the like Europe's Premier clubs have been after him, and the fact that Fulham have snapped him up, I think that pretty much guarantees their survival. Like nobody,
Ooh.
I genuinely do.
I've got a lot of takes from you this episode, mate.
I genuinely do. I just can't see a world in which Fulham go down now. When they've made such great strides in the transfer market.
On a 2-year loan, that's
yeah,
weird.
absolutely. Schürrle, Seri,
Mitrovic back
Mitrovic.
stage.
I just can't see a world in which they go down.
Yeah, they've signed well overall. Actually, I think they've had one of the best
really
windows
good
in
summer
the
from them.
country.
But the jewel in that crown is definitely Seri.
Right, this one was sent in by Kyle Tippett. He says, do you think United should get rid of Jose Mourinho? Rory, we're coming to you first on this one.
Mate.
Obviously, you've had the experience at Chelsea. Is it the time to bin him off?
Do you know what? I don't know. First, I have to just start this by saying I rate Mourinho so highly. So it's very difficult for me to even comprehend what's going on at United. I really don't understand it. But it does seem to be echoes of what happened to us in 2015. It does seem to be, it really does. Just everything that's been happening, the way that he's conducting himself, the way that he looks, the tone in his voice.
He's gone feral.
Exactly, he's gone feral, and he looks crackers. And I think I never think that sacking Mourinho is the right move, because when the chips are down, I don't think there's ever a better man placed to get you out of trouble. But equally, I think you could draw a line in the sand from Mourinho's time, like pre and post Madrid, and the man that I'm in love with, I'm not sure he exists anymore. So the man that I fell in love with and gave me days that I never thought I'd experience. You know, I remember watching Chelsea win the league at Reebok due to Mourinho's pomp and brilliance. I don't know if that man exists anymore. That man was young, handsome, daring, exciting, like all of those things. This man is not young, not daring, definitely not handsome, and definitely not exciting. So I don't even know. The man, when you ask me the question, the man that's in my head, I don't know if he exists anymore.
Yeah, as a Man United fan, I think we are also on the verge of an absolute meltdown.
Oh, I can't wait.
Seriously,
United 6 after 10 games,
It's
lovely.
literally all of the scenes, all of those like indicators of the Jose Mourinho third season syndrome have hit at once. Like
Early as well. It hit last year.
It's unbelievable.
But who takes over if they sack him? That's the thing. Like when you sack a guy, you've got to say, oh,
You know
God,
who
can
it's
you
gonna
imagine?
be. You know who it's going to be. I've said numerous times on these shows.
Who?
Ed Woodward only chases Galacticos. It's going to be Zidane.
It's going to be Zidane. See, the thing is, if you did it at the beginning of the season, there are guys available.
Exactly the
Suddenly, I don't want
I'd
to
be
be
happy.
sacked.
I'd love that to happen. That'd
Why?
be fantastic.
Pat's not a biggest fan of Zidane.
I don't think he's great.
Really?
He'll
A
be-
hat-trick of Champions League?
I don't think he's great. I mean, like that
Mad
squad. Look at your squad relative to theirs. Like, I mean, you don't have the best squad in the league. You don't even have the second
But
best
we
squad
also
in the league.
currently have a horrendous man manager in charge. I've never seen a man come in and
undeniably
piss
true.
off more people.
Yeah.
He's
Yes.
effectively pissed off our entire first team and our youth team, as well as the entire board of directors within 3 weeks. Antonio Conte would be, I think it'd be fun.
He'd solve a lot
Conte's
of problems.
Yeah, Antonio
He'd solve a
Conte's
lot of
a genius, and actually Chelsea fans were very disrespectful to Conte. History will be very kind to him.
Yeah.
He was an incredible manager.
Yeah.
Like everything that he achieved at Chelsea, bearing in mind, you know, we won the league, then we won the cup. People kind of dismiss that as if it's like an easy thing to do. That is outrageously brilliant.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, then he took over a team that finished 10th in the league.
Yeah.
You know, bearing in mind what he achieved, he also took a team that finished 10th. He'd be great, and I really hope it doesn't happen for you.
But either way, I think Jose, I struggle to see him as Man United manager beyond Christmas. I actually do at this time. I think going into today,
fun, isn't it?
I saw a tweet.
I'm
I
so
think-
excited for this.
I think
This
he's
is
the-
fantastic.
I actually think he's leading the sack race. I think he's the favourite to lose his
I mean,
job
that's mental.
first
That's
at the
mental.
moment,
But
going
he
into
does it like
the
he's on the
season.
verge of just
What he
absolutely
needs.
exploding.
I know.
He needs
It's
Sam Allardyce
insanity.
to come back and take some of the heat off of it.
Yeah,
Because he's always the favourite to
War-
get sacked.
well, Warnock, somebody like
Yeah.
that. They always do a job.
Oh God, let's
Get
stop
sacked
talking about
first.
Jose Mourinho already. I'm getting down there. Let's go
Yeah.
on to analysing some teams.
So they're going to finish sixth. We've all agreed.
Shut up.
Perfect. So we move on to a section in which we look at the best teams of the week. We've had 3 sent in, and I've got to say, I hate them all. I think they're all terrible. I genuinely think they're dreadful.
Handpicked by yours truly off Twitter.
Well, do you want to go over
I
them
appreciate that.
and maybe do a little bit more in-depth analysis beyond me saying they're bush?
Okay. I'm going to kick things off with Stuart Robson. I actually quite like his side. I think Lacazette at 11.4 million might prove very good value because he's going to be Arsenal's most advanced player. It's looked like in pre-season that Aubameyang is kind of taking up that left-hand sided role, despite being an absolute shot monster in the box. He might be more of a creator this season. I'm unsure. Eriksen at 11.2. I think Eriksen has been selected by around 10% of players. So in a similar sense to Eden Hazard, he might be a little bit underappreciated at the start of the season, and then when he starts putting together those numbers again, like the double digits for assists and goals last season, more people might be Eriksen converts. So if you have him in your team from the start, I can see him earning you some points, giving you the competitive edge. But I do think Lascelles is overpriced at 8.1. If I was Stuart, I'd drop him, get in someone who may or may not start. Leighton Baines at Everton is cheaper than him, and he's going to be taking set pieces, and that could maybe facilitate a move for a better midfielder. That's my 2 pence on Stuart Robson. What about you, Joseph, for your team?
So I've gone for Louis Carr's team. I've looked at him. I actually think there's some quite nice balance to this team. I think Pato's maybe being a little bit harsh about it. Although I will say, Sobi in the midfield is a horrible pick.
Awful.
Obviously, you've picked him because you've lost all of your money elsewhere.
But where has it gone?
Well, he's obviously spent the most on Salah and Eden Hazard. That's the majority of his spend. Salah potentially a little bit of a risk. I don't know whether he's going to have as much of a blockbuster season as he did last year. But I do like Kieran Trippier at the back. I think if he's on as many set pieces as he was for England, he will get you points. The one negative about having him and Davinson Sanchez in the team and doubling down on Tottenham defenders is if they don't keep a clean sheet or they get whacked by someone that week, you are going to struggle. So it is a little
seldom
bit
get
of a
whacked,
risk.
though.
Yeah, they very seldom get whacked. I also like Lucas Torreira in midfield at 8.4. Obviously,
Passes,
he's joined this
defensive
summer.
actions.
Big defensive actions and probably going to get a fair few minutes alongside maybe Granit Xhaka.
And on a possession side, he's going to get on the ball a lot. So those players who get lots of tackles and interceptions, like Wilfred Ndidi in the previous one, Luka Milivojevic who takes penalties as well, you can see the merit, right? What about this disgusting team, Rory, that's got 4 at the back for some insane reason?
I'm afraid you are
Rob
incorrect.
Holding.
This is a very good team.
Oh,
it's a very good team.
Rob
I'm
Holding.
impressed.
I'm looking at
Kieran Thompson,
Andreas
great
Pereira.
work. No, Kieran Thompson has done very well here.
Or
I think.
am I?
And I'll tell you for why. Because a midfield quartet of Hazard, Aaron Ramsey, N'Golo Kante and Pereira is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, I mean,
That's
it's
good.
it's 3/4 gorgeous.
In real
I'll
life
give you
it is,
that.
but on the game I'm not convinced.
That works
Yeah.
for me. And I think Aubameyang and Mitrovic up front,
Sure,
that works for me.
it's quite cost
De
effective.
Gea in goal is just very sensible thing to do. He's going to make a lot of saves. You make more than 5, you get bonus points. It makes sense. I'm on board. Kieran,
Sensible.
you're my man.
Captain Sensible.
Sanchez and Davis for a combined 18.3
Horrible.
million. Rob Holding for anything above a penny.
He's obviously done that. He's a man. He's a man much like myself. It's about what happens in front of that. It's like he's an offensively minded man.
But what about you
Patrick
guys at
Van Aanholt.
home? Who do you think has the best team of these 3? Is it Kieran, is it Stuart, or is it Louis? You can vote in the poll up there, and the winner is getting a prize.
Oh yeah, baby. Time now for our injury update / tips from Sky Sports Fantasy Football. Now, I've already had to make a change to my side, lads. Nick Pope got bloody injured against Aberdeen in a Europa League qualifier, so I've had to take him out and bring Fabianski in at 6.5, who I think is an equally adept goalkeeper, but will probably score less points as a result of West Ham having fewer clean sheets. Burnley, a back 4 of brick houses.
Yes.
They won't score any goals. I don't think they'll concede many either. What about other injuries on the old rotor?
Well, Nemanja Matic, keep your eyes peeled for him. He's picked up a little abdominal injury. He's going to have to go in for surgery, which means he's probably going to miss the first few weeks of the season, which is not good news for United, given that it's unlikely we'll see Fellaini and Paul Pogba return to the team because of the World Cup straight away.
Would anyone have picked Matic at 9.6 mil? I certainly
So much money, isn't it? There is a risk,
would
which
not.
also means, I can't remember which person had him in his team, but Andreas Pereira might get minutes at the start of the season.
Oh, hooray, amazing.
Kieran Thompson.
Yeah, well, Spurs are in the middle of an injury crisis already. Victor Wanyama's apparently gone back to London for surgery for an injury he picked up in pre-season, I believe. Moussa Dembele, Harry Winks, Eric Dyer, all these guys got some got some worrying fitness concerns at the moment. And Wanyama has actually sat out a lot over the last couple of seasons. Like, quite quietly that's happened. I'm a bit worried they're going to be thin. I'm thinking Moussa Sissoko is going to be starting in
Definitely.
midfield.
I actually don't know who starts in that midfield now. If Eric Dyer's out, Winks is out, Dembele's out, Wanyama's got the recurrent knee injury, who starts in midfield for him?
He has been moving Ali back and Eriksen back, but then you need somebody in there as a destroyer. You don't have a lot of defensive presence, and it's not going to be Moussa Sissoko because he's dreadful at football in every possible way. So I don't really know. Maybe they'll have to give somebody a go from the academy.
Fourth. Chelsea seem pretty clean though. Any injury concerns for you boys?
I think we're in the clear actually. So far so good, touch wood.
Except for Thibaut Courtois, who is out of the door soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Get rid, want him out.
Rory hates him.
Bin him off.
I genuinely do. It's very rare. It's very rare I hate any Chelsea player.
I was going to say, you've been very
really?
about everyone.
I hate them all. It's not that hard.
I'm never the kind of bloke, you know, I don't believe in booing players. I'm never that bloke. But this... yeah, he's out. Cannot bear him.
Fair play. And we've got our tip on screen now from Dan Cox, the champion of Sky Sports Fantasy Football last year. So make sure that you heed his wise words. But that's it. That's the end of the show, gents.
That is the end of the show.
Thank you for joining us, Rory.
It's been a joy. It's been a joy. Thank you for having us.
You're like the antithesis of Van Straat. He's been nice about everyone.
Yeah.
But you almost bonded there at the end. Involving, you know, hatred. So
We balance each other out.
Yeah, didn't surprise me. What else is on Football Daily and your Football Daily, Joe?
Well, there's loads of good content, but before you do any of that, make sure you hit the link in the description below and enter the league. There's loads of prizes we're giving away. You can challenge us, send us your teams, get involved. The pin is on screen now. I can't think of any other videos we make, Van Straten, off the top of my head.
Wars.
There's a good one.
That's one that we make.
Nailed one.
Put that one in.
And Rory, where can people find you? Do you want to?
I've got a YouTube thing called CFC Fan TV, and I'm Chelsea Rory on both Instagram and Twitter.
Go and check him out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Goodbye.
Cheers.